Welcome to the Erie Wellness Podcast, your go-to source for all things health, wellness, and living your best life right here in Erie. I'm your host, Lauren Brunetti, and I'm so excited to have you here. Each episode will dive into conversations with local experts and wellness professionals who are making an impact in the world of health and well-being. Before we jump in, be sure to like, share, and comment on this episode. We love hearing from you and seeing our community grow. Now let's get started. Welcome back to the Erie Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Brunetti, and today we're diving into a topic that touches all of us, how we shop, what we consume, and the impact it has on our world. Joining me is the incredibly thoughtful and inspiring Christine Twining, owner of Bridge Refill Market right here in Erie, Colorado. From living in 6 countries over the past 2 decades to launching a one-of-a-kind zero-waste store, Christine's journey is both eye-opening and empowering. We'll hear how her experiences around the globe shaped her mindset and how they led to a local business with a global impact. Let's get started. Welcome, Christine.
Thank you. Thanks for having me today.
I'm so excited. I've been inside the store a couple of times, and you and I have talked before. You're such a delight to talk to, so I'm really excited for our discussion today.
Yeah, me too. I've been looking forward to it.
So can you tell us a little bit about the story behind Bridge Refill Market and what inspired you to start this particular shop?
Yeah, it's really interesting. So before even it was on my radar completely, there was a conversation that I had with someone that I met in Ethiopia. So I was living in Ethiopia and feeling very overwhelmed with the poverty, quite honestly. I felt guilty for having food on my table, water to drink, car to drive, house to sleep in. Mm-hmm. And I just didn't know who to help, where to start, what to do, because I kind of felt as if I had something to give. Let's say I had food to give out, but their needs were everywhere. So it kind of got to a point of like, who do I help, and who am I to decide you're going to get a meal today and not you? But I became friends with this missionary over there, and I asked her, I said, how do you handle this? Because I'm feeling so overwhelmed. I don't know where to start, what to do. And she was very sweet with me during this time. And she just said, Christine, she says, I could give away all my possessions, just, randomly out of the street and give everything away. And I wouldn't make a dent. But she says, I wait until I feel led to help someone. And she's like, when that happens, she says, I will change that person's life, which means I will change their family's life. I will change the people around them, their lives as well. So it'll be this ripple effect. And that helped me while I was in Ethiopia to sort of find my direction and where I focused my energy. But it was one of those conversations that just stuck with me. So then I just carried that with me, and I continued to move to 5 additional countries after that. Really started off with me thinking about what I was purchasing, because it's not like I was in one location where I could throw something in a closet or put something in a basement and not think about it. But I was really forced to like, this is what I did this year and next year. And what am I going to do with it? Do I want to take it to the next place? Do I not? So I was really forced to take a look at all of the things that I was purchasing and realizing that I was creating a lot of waste in that direction. And so then beyond that, not living in a world because most of our countries that we lived in were Africa, and we didn't have fast food. We didn't have all of those like quick meals. And so we did a lot of like cooking fresh. We were going to the markets and buying just fresh produce. And we really got into understanding what that meant and where our food is coming from, and just kind of taking a step back, making things, things were just a little bit slower. So we really start thinking about not buying stuff. I mean, not to say that, we wouldn't go out to dinner and like, oh, let's grab some of those French fries. And we had those opportunities for sure. But just overall, just really started to think about what we were taking into our bodies and just making sure that they were fresh. and then really looking into as well our products that we were exposing ourselves to. And I mean, a lot of that from smells, we're like, oh, that's really strong. Like where did that kind of come from? But it was just all this very like benign type of thing. But I just started to continue to just really take notice into all these aspects of, what we were doing. And then moving forward, so of course, with every single country we were living in, I was always part of a green team. That was always sort of in the forefront, like whether it was, cleaning up beaches in Mozambique or helping out with creating like a green team and putting on green fairs and exposing other local businesses to other Americans living overseas was, always on the forefront. But we ended up moving back to the States, and I was really excited to finally be able to recycle. That was something that there was a little part of me that, I was like, okay, now I could finally, all of my waste, all these things that I'm buying, I can finally put in the recycling bin. So I thought I was winning when I had this compost container. I was living in Boulder at the time. I had my compost container. I had this small trash bin and then this massive thing for my recycling. And I thought, like, I'm filling this every couple of weeks. Look at me, I'm winning. I'm doing all the great things. And then my world came crashing down when I discovered that 9% of the items in that bin, which was really on the high side. I mean, I've heard up to maybe only 5% would actually get recycled. And so when I thought about that and I started to do a deeper dive into that, I realized that all of my plastic containers that contain soap, specifically my hand soaps and my laundry detergent, were not getting recycled. So every time I would go to the store and I had to grab that container because it was a need that I needed for my family, I would just get so frustrated. And I felt like, this is not fair. Like, we're sort of getting boxed into having to shop a certain way. This is just not right. And I remembered this conversation that I had with this woman in Ethiopia over 20 years ago. And I was like, okay, there's something's going to come up. I don't know what it is. And she didn't mean not to do anything in the process of waiting for that direction. So you kind of do the things that you can do. But I just knew that there was going to be something more, and I didn't know exactly what it was. So we moved to Colorado in 2018, 2020. COVID hit and I happened to go for a run in another direction that I normally would not run. And I happened to pass by a newsstand that I normally wouldn't pass by. And I picked up a paper that I never pick up. It was one of these situations where it was just sort of led into the discovery of refill. So I brought this paper home, opened up the paper, and there was this tiny article about refill. And as soon as I read this article, my heart just started pounding. I was like, oh my gosh, there's another way to shop. We don't have to do it this way. And that just led me into this constant deep dive of looking at other refill stores across the world. So, I mean, it was at that point, we had refill stores, obviously, here in the States, but they were really cemented in Europe. And I just could not, it was up late at night, going down all these rabbit holes and oh my gosh, look at this, look at how they could do this. And I'm like, I want to do this. And at this point, we knew that we were going to be moving to Erie, and there was a need here. I was like, okay, I want to be able to refill. Because at this point I was driving out of my way to other refill stores here in Colorado to refill. But sometimes it would get to a point where I would have a spice that I needed to refill. And, and I was doing one of these things. I was like, oh, where's my carbon footprint on this one spice? So then I would save up my containers and try to do one massive shopping trip at a time. But it was one of those things where I just knew this was the direction that I wanted to go. So I visited all the stores I could possibly, go to in the area and volunteered in another store because I didn't want to romanticize the idea of oh, I'm just going to open the store and it's going to be all these great things. So I went to one particular store owner and I just said, And I asked her, and she was really nice about it. She was like, absolutely. She's like, you're welcome to come in here. And I was like, put me to work, make me do all these refills. And I just, the excitement never went. So I thought, so here I am, 2020, 2021, doing all of the things. I created my LLC, and I'm like, okay, ready to start my business, and got a real estate agent to find a place in Erie. And then it was this automatic stop. I could not get a space. It was very difficult to find something downtown, but
Mhm.
but it was one of those things that, looking back on it, the timing probably wasn't the best timing to, for various reasons, or a location it was trying to do a square peg round hole, but I was like, okay, here's a spot. And but I didn't, but I know it wasn't just me. There were many other people who were trying to start businesses. So it was actually kind of fun when, meeting with other people trying to get a spot, saying, oh, I'm so happy for you. I'm like, sad for me, but I'm really happy for you. And but so it's so great. We have these amazing businesses downtown, and then at the right time, the spot at 285 Cheeseman came up, and I was told about it, and then it was just full force in, and I'm so excited to be able to have my store there, and just to make this impact with our community. So far, we've already saved over 10,000 containers, and that's just numbers from July 1 to April 1. So we're obviously past that now, and those numbers have gone up, but those are our concrete numbers, and that's just
Mhm.
people coming in and refilling and being a part of the process. So it's very exciting.
That is so cool. I love that story. I mean, going from I just know I want to help people back in Ethiopia
Yeah.
to knowing that I want to figure out a way to be more sustainable and reduce my impact and help the environment
Yeah.
to I don't even know what that means and how it's going to translate to
Yeah.
okay, now I'm back in the States and now this business idea pops in my head.
Yeah.
And this is like, you've raised family and you've raised a kid and you're still going after your dreams, which is so cool too. I love that.
Yeah. Thanks.
And you brought in your family on board too to help you
Oh,
with all of this too, right? Your kids work inside the store and
yes. Yeah. My daughter, so she has a degree of marketing at CU. And so
Mhm.
she does some marketing for me. You'll see her in the store. My son as well. He does inventory for me. So, either one of us, you will see behind the counter. And it is a gift to be able to work with kids and actually to have kids that want to work with me,
Mhm.
I guess the hope as parents.
You've done a good job if your kids still want to hang out with you after after
Right.
they're adults.
Right. Yeah. So I'm very fortunate with that.
Well, I'd love to hear a little bit about like how do you want people to feel when they walk into Bridge Refill Market and what really is the mission behind your store?
So the mission of our store is to reduce our plastic and packaging waste by refilling in containers you already have. So when you come into the store, the first thing we're going to welcome you and let us know if this is your first time, because we'll always say, hey, is there anything we can do to help you? And we love
Mhm.
it when somebody says, oh, it's my first time. And we're like, okay, great. We're going to give you the tour. We're going to talk about what we're all about, and then also go through the process of how do you tear the system of your jar. So you come in with your own clean containers, and we'll put one on the scale and record the weight. We have a tap system, so you don't even have to write it down yourself. And
Mhm.
then you just choose the product that you want to put in that jar, and it can be as little as much as you want. And then so I try to tell customers as well that besides the packaging waste, we really are big on making sure that we're not wasting product. So you can buy what you need. And so you want to try a new shampoo or laundry detergent, you can just get enough to see if it works well for you and works well for your family. And if it does,
Mhm.
great, come back. Because sometimes I'll get customers come in with these big containers and they're like all like pumped up, ready to go. And I'm always like, oh, like I would love to sell you that much detergent, but one, it's concentrated and it'll be like, see you next year. And two, let's make sure that you love it and it works well for you, because I tell them like how many times that I have purchased a shampoo and it's supposed to do this great thing for your hair, And then you try it and you're like, wah, wah.
But I still have the half a bottle left. And after I've decided I'm not a fan.
Exactly. And I think I have to like walk around with a fan doing the things to maybe like imitate it. I don't know. But then that shampoo bottle, one, it becomes a waste because it's another bottle. And then two, it goes in the guest bathroom. I mean, you might look like a super hostess, by like, hey, look at all these options I have for you. But in essence, it was, you know, a waste of money. And we don't want to do that. We want to be very mindful of the fact that it's not just about also the packaging, but it's also about the product and it's about your wallet. We're not there to try to upsell anyone. We're like, no, just please make sure. I'm usually talking someone down, which is probably the opposite of what but I really, it's not, the goal is to find products that work well for you, work well for your family, and just, we're making an impact at the same time.
So I've been inside the store, but can you kind of go through the different products for the listeners so they know, you mentioned like laundry and hand soap, but you also have like spices and bulk food. So what other things that can people come in and get a container from you and buy and then come back and refill later on?
Yeah, so we have, so lots of different bulk foods. So you're talking about nuts and dried fruit, beans, grains, baking essentials, granolas, also gluten-free options as well. We have a lot of customers with gluten-free sensitivities. So we do provide a lot of gluten-free options as well. So we have, as you mentioned, the spices, which are a huge hit. And honestly, for somebody who wants to try something new, you try a new curry and you have 10 new spices that you have to buy and, and they're all organic and you're dropping $60. I mean, that's not fun. And you're like, well, I really hope I love this curry.
I'm going to be eating a lot of curry.
Right, exactly. So you can come to the store and get what you need and exactly the amount that you need. I would say the caveat would be, I just need 1/10 of an ounce of product, which really at the end of the day is not much of anything. The only time I really run into a problem is with bay leaves when somebody will come and say, I need 3.
Right, for like chicken noodle soup or something.
Right, exactly. and we don't have a wait. And I was like, couple more bay leaves, just a couple more. So that's it. But usually it's not a problem. And it was really fun during the holidays having people like rush into the store. I mean, literally mid-baking, apron on, recipe in hand, flour on the face, going, okay, oh my gosh, we are like in dire need of, we need 3 tablespoons of. And we're like, okay, we got you. We're going to get you back out the door so you can get baking again. So then we go through a lot of spices. And then we have loose leaf teas, which are really incredible coffee that is locally roasted, which it's incredible. So we're working with a guy that from Local Roots Coffee, and I just call him up and I said, okay, we're running out of the medium roast. And then he's like, oh, hey, I'm on it. I'm roasting new beans. And so we keep those fresh coming in. Local raw honey, we're getting those. And then, so as you mentioned, we have our laundry, personal care items, cleaning supplies, and then lots of sustainable swaps throughout the store. So if you wanted to try toothpaste tabs, and people come in, they're like, what's that? Like, and so, and it's basically it's to replace our toothpaste in the tubes. And it's, you take 1 tab, you put it in your mouth, you chew it, wet your toothbrush, and you brush your teeth like you normally would. We've always had fluoride free, but we had a lot of parents who were like, okay, we really would like to get some fluoride. So we just added in some fluoride tabs as well, which is very exciting. And it's constantly evolving. I mean, our products, it's just constantly evolving, but just items to help reduce our plastic waste as well. It's amazing how many products we have that plastic in them. So, yeah.
Why should Erie residents, in your opinion, care about refilling both for their personal health and the planet?
Yeah. So starting off with maybe the environmental aspect of that. I was giving this some thought, but I think that the big thing is if we think about what we could do as a community. So right now, I think we have, I don't know, maybe about 35,000 residents.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
And I think by 2050, that's going to increase, they say like double over double. Yeah, I know. They're talking like anywhere between 70, 80,000 people, but right now, so about 35,000 residents, and with, I don't know, like 11,000 homes individually, all together. So if
Right.
let's just say that we have 11,300 homes, and each home has one hand soap, and they only take one hand soap a month, and refill that. That is 12 per household, and you multiply that by 11,300. We are at over 100 and over 135 ish thousand soap containers. I mean, that's amazing. That's just soap. If you just think about a hand soap, I mean, and I don't
Right.
know about your household, but we have soap all over the house.
Mm-hmm.
Every single
Well,
bathroom.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I for sure can count 5 right now, like in different, either the kitchen, bathrooms.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that's just thinking just on just one hand soap. If we just did that and we diverted, so over 135,000 containers, that's just our community. We get people from Thornton and Broomfield, Westminster, Lafayette, Louisville, Boulder, Longmont. I mean, visiting the store, but this is just Erie residents and what we're able to do and the impact that we can do. And all those containers, obviously, we're not having to worry about them breaking down in the landfill and we're diverting all of that waste. So just it's amazing what we could do.
Yeah,
It's just
just
getting the word out.
one person like one item inside your house.
Yeah. Yeah. One item. So then on the personal level, it is knowing that when you're coming into the store, and if we continue with the soap example, then you're choosing a product that is a clean product that that isn't going to cause harm to your body or the environment. And, if you're on that non-toxic trajectory, what you're trying to do for yourself and your family.
Which so many people in and around this area are. They care about their families and what kind of products they're bringing into their homes.
Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about endocrine disruptors and how your shop has helped reduce their exposure?
Yeah. So endocrine disruptors are basically chemicals that disrupt our hormone system. So keeping in mind that our hormones, we need them to help regulate our mood, our metabolism, our sleep, fertility.
I like to think of them as like the chemical messengers that send all this information to all the different parts of our body.
Yes. Yeah. And, so then you have all of that. And that's also helping with our immune system. So if we have these fake disruptors that are coming in and acting like, our hormones saying like, oh, we don't need any more hormones here, then it's putting our body all out of whack. It's completely doing that. And I think it's especially important. We have a lot of women who are pregnant, and we think about our children who are developing. So women who are pregnant, who are exposed to endocrine disruptors, let's say phthalates, which you can get through. This is another little rabbit hole we can easily go down. But let's just say phthalates, and those can be through fragrances and our cookware. There's multiple ways that we can get it, but those chemicals can go through the placenta and affect a baby's brain, causing a decrease in IQ. And I've read somewhere where it could be up to 5 to 7 points of their IQ can be disrupted because of these chemicals, and then also increasing the chance of them developing ADHD. So that's just while in utero. And, think about our kids that are growing too, when they are exposed to this, they need those hormones to grow and get strong and to develop. And if we are continuing to expose them, then that they're not giving their bodies a fighting chance. So, and I don't mean to say this to scare anybody that might be listening, but it's more for empowerment to say, okay, we can make these changes. And once we start swapping them out and reducing our exposures, our bodies start to regulate. They start to, get back into balance and start functioning. Our bodies want to heal. We just have to reduce our exposures. And there's so many ways that we can easily do that. And so taking that to the store, and then I also give some examples outside of the store as well that you could easily do at home today. But so within stores, obviously, it is finding products that are phthalate free, that are fragrance free. And I would say that not all products that say, and this is what to look for too, is something that says like fragrance or parfum. So many companies will use that to hide chemicals behind that. And that's where you're going to find like other phthalates and other chemicals, because they can say, oh, well, it is our trade secret, how we came up with this product, so we don't need to expose that. But there are some companies that intentionally will use fragrance, but they are completely open with how they're getting that fragrance. And it's not, they're not hiding phthalates. It could be phthalate free. So there are many companies that are still okay, but we have lots of products throughout the store that are fragrance free. Because again, there's a lot of people with different sensitivities as well. So you will always find something that's a shampoo bar, conditioner bar, soap, a liquid conditioner, shampoo, body wash, laundry, dish soap, everything, hand soap. You can always find a fragrance free option at the store. And then again, I'll those sustainable swaps as well. But within your home, a very easy thing that you can do is open your windows to air your home out, because the air in our home can be 2 to 5 times more toxic.
Like people think they have allergies outside, but it's really like all of the toxins that they're exposed to, and it's not even as bad as inside of their house.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So it's, so open the windows, make sure that you are dusting. I mean, we used to think that the dust was just, skin cells, did you ever hear that? We're like, oh, it's all the skin that's down there. And we're like, oh. But it's not just that, it's microplastics that are coming off of our carpets and our clothes and different products throughout our house, and off-gassing of anything new that we bring in. So it's opening it up, making sure that, we're vacuuming and we're dusting and on a regular basis to just clean our homes out that way. And not to mention, obviously, the products as well.
Right.
And I think that as your body, when you start eliminating some of those products, you start to realize how they have been affecting you. Just for me personally, I mean, I used to have that, that laundry detergent that would stay on your clothes for weeks on end. I mean, I'm talking like strong smell. And you're like, oh yeah, this is what it's supposed to be. Look I smell so fresh. I have all this stuff on it. But then once I eliminated it, and I would come across that, whether it was someone who'd washed their clothes with that strong detergent, or I was on a walk and I happened to pass by
smell it.
Yes. Yeah. Then it was sort of like this little slap in my face, where it was more of like, oh my gosh, like that is way too much. And it's just, I think our body's visceral reaction to like, oh, like that's not good. So, once we start making those little changes, you start to realize how they've been affecting you, and you didn't even know it.
I know if you walk past like the cleaning aisle in the grocery store and you're like, oh my gosh, it is so strong over there.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things to like switches to make is laundry detergent, just because like we are constantly being either touched by our clothes or laying in our beds, right? Like we can't escape that. So whatever's on our laundry detergent is always touching our skin every single day at all hours of the day. So that's one of my favorite swaps.
Yeah, it's a great swap. It is a great place to start.
We've talked about some of these already, but what are some simple first steps someone can take to reduce waste or switch to cleaner products?
So starting with our kitchen, one thing you could think about very easily is our spatulas, the ones that have the black
Mhm.
on the
Yeah.
end that aren't, that are definitely are going to cause chemical reactions into your food as well. So I would just say, grabbing a good wood spatula, and then maybe have a metal one when you have cookies that you want to pull out, and then you need something that's going to be thinner and harder to get
Mhm.
underneath that cookie. But just switching out to maybe some wood products, thinking about your cutting boards. I mean, if you have a cutting board that is plastic, every time you cut down, there are little pieces of microplastics that are
Mhm.
going to break off and then possibly go into your food. So that's something that I would switch to a wood cutting board. And then if you're able to even get it in one slab, that's even better, because you don't have to worry about how the wood is put together with glue. Sometimes that
Mhm.
maybe have formaldehyde in it. It just depends on how it's put together.
So
So
you mean one slab, like you don't see
yeah,
any cut lines at all on,
correct.
okay.
Yeah. I mean, and I honestly, I'm throwing this out there, but it's always stuff that in hindsight, I'm like, in my house, I do have one that has all of those lines.
Mhm.
And then I have one that's, without, but it's learning these things as we go. So I'm like, oh, this is a better choice. I'm like, oh, there could have been another choice. Um,
Mhm.
that would have maybe been a little bit better. I would say if you love to burn candles, that's one thing. I mean, I like candles too, but maybe trying to get something that doesn't have a fragrance to it. That can also be one of the biggest, I guess, disruptors in
Mhm.
your air that you're putting out there.
Mhm.
To eliminate some of those, just having and there's other ways that you can have a nice smell in the house. If you wanted to have a diffuser, or some people I know that they've come into the store during the cooler months and they've picked up cloves and cinnamon, and they just
Mhm.
wanted to have
Let it boil on their stove or something.
yes, yeah, something like that. So there are little things that within your home that
Mhm.
you can do that way. I would say, thinking about, we were talking about the air, about opening up the windows. If you are able to get a filter for your home, make sure you're filtering your air out. Having an air purifier, that is, I think, a pretty big necessity if you're just thinking about your air quality.
Mhm.
So air purifier, open your windows. there, let's see. I know that there's some others.
I have
There's
a
always,
question about the cutting board. Okay,
sure.
so I have a wood cutting board and then I also have a plastic one.
Yeah.
Um, and because I've heard about cutting on plastic can cause some
Yeah.
like microplastic fractures in your food and stuff like that. I've been hesitant to use it, but
Yeah.
they're so convenient to throw into the dishwasher
Yeah.
versus like a wood, like if you're cutting chicken or something like that, you can't easily throw. So how do you clean the wood
I know.
cutting board when you're cutting like produce and things like that
I know.
need like a really good deep clean?
Yeah. So yeah, a couple things there. That's already that's like hitting home with me right now. Is one, plastic in the our dishwasher. So what happens is when we are heating up plastic,
Mhm.
that's when it's going to break down and release chemicals. So, and I
Mm.
know it's so convenient. You're like, I have this Tupperware container, and I'll put it on the top shelf. And it'll be a little bit better than
Mhm.
the bottom. And yeah, but it's heating up the plastics. And once you start heating up plastic, it releases the chemicals. It's causing that plastic to break down. So if you have that, I would say never put it in the dishwasher. Make sure that you're hand washing it.
Okay.
Um, yeah. And then also, as far as I know, I get that a lot, because it's like, oh, okay, here, the piece of meat on the wood board. What do you
Mhm.
do? And
I've just started cutting it on our regular plates. Like it's not
yeah, yeah.
because
There's
it then I can easily clean it
that's
instead of putting it on my wooden boards, which I do like more produce and stuff, because then I don't feel like I really need a deep clean on it, or
yeah,
I can just more
yeah.
of like rinse it at the end.
Yeah, sometimes some people also dedicate one board for particular things. Like, okay, this one's going to be for the meat, and then this one is going to
Mhm.
be for fruits and vegetables, and the bread or whatever they're gonna the cut on, and good soap and water. And I get it. It's and I've also have heard of some people also you're mentioning your plates, but also they have different glass cutting boards. There's different, I mean, I just feel like very mindful of what you're cooking and or what you're cooking, what you're cutting, and how you're doing it. But I know it can also be very, there's so many swaps that we can do, and it can also seem very overwhelming for some people. And just to be mindful of, I would say, this is something I'd bring up because there's so many things that we could go hog wild on. But it's, if you have this amazing budget that you could do it all, but that's not always the truth,
Yeah.
So we have to kind of work with what we have and what we can do, and just look at what you're doing. And you mentioned like, okay, the easy swap would be, for the laundry, because it's touching us. Like that's something you could do very easily. And if there's something else that is really before you that's bothering you the most, then perhaps make that the next priority. It doesn't have to be all at once, but there's a lot of things that you can do without changing up the budget. Open those windows. And wash that.
That's such good advice, because I feel like we are constantly bombarded with information as consumers, and you feel like, I have to do everything, but it's just like little steps. Like, you're not a bad mom, you're not a bad parent if this doesn't happen right away. Come in, look at the store, and maybe that's your first step, and then a couple of weeks later, come in and switch out your first product, and we just do it one at a time.
Yeah. And I have a lot of people who come in and it is complete the, recon mission. They come in and they're like, okay, I heard about the store. What is it about? And, I'm like, I'm happy. I'm like, yeah, I'm happy to give you a tour. Let's talk about it. And then figuring out where we can help, or does it fit into your life? Does it not? Maybe it does down the road, but that's okay. At least we had the opportunity to talk about who we are. And the big thing is that there is zero judgment. There's zero judgment. And because I'm not perfect, and I wouldn't expect anybody else to be. And I don't want to feel as if you see me in a grocery store and I have to get that one particular product that is packaged a particular way, that I have to go in the store with a hat on and sunglasses and a coat and throw it into the cart and then make my way out of the store as quickly as possible. We live in a plastic world, and and that's the reality of it. And I think whatever we can do is a step in the right direction. And again, our bodies, will heal. We just have to we feel them. And we have this beautiful organ called the liver that helps with us, that helps us to, detox our body. And as long as we are getting our sleep, we're drinking our water, and, we're doing the best we can, it's gonna try to rid itself of these toxins. We're gonna pee them out, poop them out, sweat. That's another thing, sweat.
That helps get rid of them. Get outside, go on a run in the summer. Do you have any, for you in particular, do you have any favorite go-to swaps or products that most people are inspired by?
Yeah. It's interesting. Some of the favorites, which has surprised many people, are maybe the deodorant and the dishwasher tabs, because I was totally in this camp too, where I would pick a deodorant because, it's better. It's packaged in, better material. It's not in plastic, and it's supposed to be better for me. But then it would still smell. This isn't right. You have a deodorant, but then I'd kind of live with it and try to reapply and really, wash well. And even midday, I was like, this is so messed up, but I'm doing this better. It's better for my body. It's better for the environment. It might not be better for the people around me, but, but finding there are other products out there that actually work. And it's really amazing for people to come in and to try a new deodorant and be pleasantly surprised. And they're like, there's this one. And so I've been testing them out. That's been great. Our dishwasher tabs, which are, one of the biggest sellers in the store, they don't have any plastic around them. And those have been huge, a big seller. And because, I mean, it comes down to convenience. I mean, we have other options. We have the liquid and the powder, but we're moving things along. We're like, okay, we're going to tap in and go. And so those work really well. But one of my favorite and one of my first swaps that I really made was I got rid of my plastic wrap and I got beeswax wrap. And the first time I bought it at a store and it really wasn't the best beeswax wrap, but I felt better. Like I just made the decision. I said, okay, that's it. I'm done with this roll of plastic wrap. I'm not buying another one. I'm switching over to beeswax wraps. And it didn't, again, it's supposed to adhere and you could stick to the side. So it's a nice strong seal. And this one would just sort of like, I lay it on top. I'm like, okay, there it is. It's kind of laying there. But
protecting it.
Right, exactly. And then, but I felt better and I wasn't buying anymore. And until I discovered, I was like, oh, wait, no, they're supposed to stay on and really well. And so I share that with the customers too. And it's, it's a sustainable product. If, you can extend the life by adding some more wax to them, or, when that starts to degrade, then it's biodegradable. It's a great swap and it can save you so much money in the long run. And I think maybe that's something that people should, keep in mind too, that it's, it's better for your health too down the road when you're not exposing yourself to more plastic.
Mm-hmm. What would you say are some common misconceptions about eco-friendly or non-toxic living?
Yeah, the first one is it's going to be way too expensive. That comes out. People will come to the store and, we'll talk to them, we'll give them the tour. And then I'm like, do you have any questions? And then it comes out with the question, so what is your price point? And I try to tell them, I said, I would say that I will never be Whole Foods. That's not my intention because I don't want to discount anybody who wants to participate, who wants to be able to refill. And I mean, at the end of the day, it comes down to our grocery bill. And I've felt it. I've gone shopping and noticed that the prices are just so much higher than they used to be. And it could be a daily thing where all of a sudden you turn around and you're like, wait, why is that $2 more? What just happened? And it's smaller. What's going on? So I try to tell people that for us, our price points is probably like the main grocery store. If you go to King Soopers or maybe Sprouts, like we're somewhere in there. I'm not a big box store, but we receive items in bulk. And when I receive them, I am looking at the stores. I'm like, okay, what are they charging? Because I tell people, I'm like, listen, you can compare apples to apples, just make sure, because we bring organic products into our store. So make sure when you're comparing, you're doing organic to organic. And I'm looking at that. And because I'd rather you come into the store and refill and save that container. And, I might take a little bit of a hit, but, we're doing this together. So that is one misconception, is that it can be more expensive, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. And then also with, we have products, obviously, you're going to go apples to oranges. So they're a little bit different. And I ask people to keep that in mind. But we also do offer different price points. I do look for and search for products that are also clean and at a different price point. So I want to include as many people as possible. So we can just increase the number of containers saved and we're just, we have better products. So we have that. So price point, I would say that's a big misconception. Another one is, well, I didn't think I was granola enough to come, or, and again, this goes back to, I am not perfect. And sometimes I get excited over that little shiny thing too. But it's okay. We're going to meet you where you are. And again, and for some people are all in. Some people come in and they're strictly, I'm here for my spices and my hand soap. It's all a win. Even if it's to come in and pick up a sustainable product, that's awesome. We're happy, that you're doing that. So we want everyone to feel welcome. No one is being judged. We're, because, again, we don't want to be judged either. We're all in this together. And that's the biggest thing that I love, is that the community coming together and doing this. It's been incredible.
Before we wrap up, I'd love to hear, are there any new exciting things coming up for Bridge Refill Market that our listeners should know about?
Well, we're slowly incorporating other businesses into our store as well. So for those that don't know, we've partnered with Moxie Bread Company. So those who love their sourdough, you can pre-order your bread through us and it's delivered to our store every Wednesday. We have partnered with Landline Donuts up in Longmont. So
I didn't know Landline.
Yes. Yeah. So every Saturday we get their donuts. Next 2 weeks, the owner will be away. His daughter's getting married, so congratulations to them. And but then we'll be back on again. So every Saturday at Landline Donuts. We are looking at doing different workshops coming up this summer, and working with someone who we have in the past. So with just breath work. I mean, we dive into different things about being holistic, and so this next one's going to be breath work. We worked on teas and spices in the past. So different. So that's coming up. And then slowly we're going to be adding in. I try to be very, very intentional and systematic about this, but the next big step will be adding in some produce into the store. So the idea is to kind of make Bridge Refill Market, again, you can be able to get some of those emergency onions or lemons or
not just spices, but other things as well.
Yes, exactly. And then so I've already started talking to some local farmers about bringing some of that in. So we're excited about that.
Well, Christine, I love what you're doing here in Bridge Refill Market. We're so blessed to have this little market right in downtown Erie, and being a part of all of this, it's really exciting. But finally, what does it mean to you to be a small business owner right here in Erie? And what has this community meant to your journey?
Oh, wow. I feel so incredibly humble, like every day. I'm humbled every day. I have really incredible customers who, they'll come in and make it a point to come every week to help support. They are, between reaching out online to highlighting us in different ways, it just touches my heart. It just warms me that the welcome has been so incredibly great. And it definitely, I would say that doesn't go unnoticed. And I'm so thankful for everybody who's doing that. I'm not a person who is a big social media person. So like all of a sudden I'm like, oh yeah, I guess that matters. And so when people do that, I'm like, thank you. Thank you so much. And then I suppose as the business side of it, I am just so thankful for the other businesses downtown in a world where people are doing their own thing and staying busy, because we're all very busy, but I definitely don't feel alone downtown. I've had other businesses reach out and say, hey, let's collaborate on something. Our downtown businesses really work together. We're really coming together, trying to make our community thrive. And I am so thankful for all of them for being available to answer questions before, during, like as we're preparing the store and even after. I mean, we're constantly learning and evolving, and it is all of this coming together. And also for you, thank you for giving this opportunity to talk about the store, and for you to highlight all these additional businesses as well. I mean, this is an incredible resource. So thank you.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to you guys, because I've witnessed it firsthand since starting the podcast, that you guys all work together, you collaborate, you support one another. So it's a great group of businesses to have that we have here in Erie.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, Christine, thank you so much for sharing your story and your heart with us today. Your commitment to creating a more sustainable future right here in our own community is very inspiring. If you are in Erie or nearby, I encourage you to visit Bridge Refill Market, whether you're curious about reducing waste, switching to cleaner products, or just want to shop with intention. Christine's created a space that truly makes it easy and inviting. Thanks for listening to the Erie Wellness Podcast. If today's episode sparked some ideas or inspired a small shift in your routine, we'd love for you to share it and leave a review. Until next time, stay well, Erie. That's a wrap for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening to the Erie Wellness Podcast. I truly appreciate you being a part of this journey. If you loved today's conversation, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend. For more daily wellness inspiration and behind-the-scenes content, be sure to follow me on Instagram at the Erie Wellness Podcast. I can't wait to connect with you again soon.